In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, find peace, guidance, inspiration, and wisdom with Abdul Fattah Day Yemi's official app.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. My name is Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. The topic, of course, is about the concept of antifragility. Antifragility refers to systems or entities or organisms that not only resist shock and stressors, but actually become stronger and benefit from their stress and from their shocks. Unlike something that is fragile, anything that's fragile, you see, it breaks under stress. If you apply some stress, it's going to break. That means it is fragile. Some other things can be resilient, and when something is resilient, it means it resists stress, but it remains the same. No matter the amount of stress you impose on something that is resilient, it will not break, but will remain as it is. But antifragile means something that grows and improves when it's exposed to volatility, or when it's exposed to chaos, or when it's exposed to randomness. The more you stress it, the better it becomes. Now you see the difference now. Anti-fragile thing is something that gets better because you are putting pressure on it. And when somebody is resilient, it means no matter how much pressure they give you, you are still remaining the same. But when it comes to anti-fragility, it's a concept that the more you go through stress or chaos or uncertainty in life, the stronger you become at the end of it all. And you find this concept of fragility in the Quran somehow. If you look at Surah Al-Ma'arij, chapter 70, verse 19, Allah says, Inna li-insana khuliqa halu'a idha massahu sharru jazu'a wa idha massahu al-khayru manu'a. Chapter 70, verse 19, Allah says, indeed, human beings were created reactionary. That is halu'a. We are a being that always reacts to things. Allah has designed us that way. You know, the Quran mentioned a lot of things about human beings, human nature. You see something like that. Then la tarkabunna tobakon and tobak. You'll be moving from one stage to another. Whenever you see Allah say inna li insana like that, Allah is trying to tell us our innate nature, how He made us. And we must not forget. So one of the nature of humanity is to be reactionary. Anything that happens, we are always anxious, we are greedy, we are impatient, we have hasty temperament, and most of all, we are fearful. If anything happens, wow, like this, you see us quickly react to that. And so because of that, when evil touches human being, he is impatient, he is afraid, he grieves greatly, and he complains bitterly. And when good thing touches him, he withholds of the good thing that Allah has given to him, and he becomes niggardly, he becomes stingy. Now, we learn some things from this surah, these verses we have recited. Human being is fragile. And how are we fragile? We naturally experience fear and impatience when difficulties arise. Nobody likes difficulty. Whenever difficulties come, we are agitated. Naturally, we want to push it away. Then we also become self-centered when there's prosperity. When we are blessed with ease, human beings are prone to hoard this blessing and we forget gratitude. You know, it's like you get used to blessings. The blessings don't look like blessings again because you begin to take them for granted because you are getting these blessings every day. That is how the Quran describes our nature, human beings. Whenever blessings come, we get used to it and we hold it to ourselves. Sometimes we even think we are too much. That's why we got this blessing. I normally ask, how many people woke up this morning? Raise up your hand. You woke up this morning. You didn't raise your hand. Maybe you didn't wake up. Somebody should wake you up and do like this to you. See, we didn't really wake up this morning. Allah woke us up. We are not the ones that woke up by ourselves. We think in our mind that we woke up. We didn't wake up. It's Allah that brought us back to life. That's why we normally say, Alhamdulillah, ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. He's the one that ahyana is one that brings us back to life. If you doubt that, then take an alarm clock to the mortuary. And so many people will wake up. Or take it to the cemetery where people have been planted. Allahu Akbar. The difference between a garden and a cemetery is in what has been planted in the ground and the purpose for which we plant them in the ground. Human beings are planted in the ground in the cemetery. We didn't expect them to grow. But in the garden, we plant some things in the garden and we expect them to grow. It's Allah that brings the ones that grow. It's Allah that brings them up. And the ones that do not grow, it's Allah that make them to remain. So we didn't really wake up. If you now wake up every morning, there's tendency for you to forget that that is one favor that nobody had capacity over. And that's why the Quran says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. When goodness comes to you, you take it for granted. These instincts reflect an initial state of fragility. We have a tendency to break under pressure or grow complacent in comfort. So another thing about anti-fragility from these verses is that the Quran teaches that humans are not doomed to remain fragile forever. Because through Iman, that is faith, Shukru, that is gratitude, and Sabru, that is patience, humans can transcend the tendencies of fragility and develop anti-fragility. Another thing we learn from that verse, we also learn that facing adversity, instead of succumbing to despair, believers are taught to see trials as opportunities for spiritual refinement. And when we respond to Allah's generosity with gratitude and more generosity. Whenever Allah gives you something, Allah wants you to use it to show gratitude to Him. And Allah said to Dawood, Allah said, "Imalu ala Dawood shukran, fa qalilun min ibadiy ash-shakur." O you household of Dawood, work gratitude, show gratitude, because very little amongst my servants are those who show gratitude. What we are trying to say is anti-fragility, as placed in the Quran, is such that Allah also gave us some of the hints with which we can become anti-fragile, that is not easily breakable. We become spiritually mature when we are anti-fragile. I'm just explaining what the Quran says about this anti-fragility, because if you look at the same Surah Al-Ma'arij, chapter 70, from verses 22 to 35, Allah now says, "Illa al-musallin," except those who observe their salat. Salat is one of those things that can build your anti-fragility. Rather than become easily broken, you become stronger with salat. They said, "Ya Rasulullah, there's one person who prays and fasts, prays regularly, but the person is a very bad person. He steals, he cheats, he lies." And when they complained to the Prophet said, "Does he pray?" They say yes. "He prays regularly." They said yes. Prophet said, "Inna salatahu yamna'uhu iyah." It is that his salat that will stop him from doing those things. Let him keep praying. Alladhina hum ala salatin da'imun, those who continuously make their salat. Walladhina fi amwalihim haqqun ma'lum, and those who take from their wealth the right that is determined, lis-sa'il wal mahrum, they give on to those who ask and those who are underprivileged. If you can be generous, then you become anti-fragile, because you are able to overcome your desire to hurt or to be greedy. Are you following the way the Quran is building our fragility now? وَالَّذِينَ يُصَدِّقُونَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ, and those who believe in the truthfulness of the day of judgment, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِ رَبِّهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ, and those who are dreadful of the punishment of their Lord, إِنَّ عَذَابَ رَبِّهِمْ غَيْرُ مَأْمُونٍ, because Allah's punishment, their Lord's punishment, is something they can never miss. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, and those who are disciplined enough to guard their chastity. It takes certain strength to be able to protect your chastity. Let me give you an example of antifragility when it comes to this. We used to do Hajj orientation for people. So we normally talk to men separately. That look, many of you have young wives, or many of you have many wives. You cannot go 1 week without having had something to do with your wives at least 5 times within a week. There will come a time when you are doing Hajj work that you will not have any access to any of your wives. Can you cope? Can you cope? We used to tell them that. And you see many of them be like, Ustaz, this is going to be very difficult too. That is the thing now. Allah wants you to learn anti-fragility, not to be easily dissuaded or carried away by the women folk when you are away from your wife. And you see people, Allahu Akbar, the place where lowering your gaze is most effective is during Hajj work. Because we are telling them, you see all sorts of women, white, black, yellow, orange, but no green. But you see people with blue eyes, you see people with green eyes. This is the time for you to lower your gaze. You see the ones that are slim, you see the ones that are fat, you see the ones that are like your wife, the ones that are not like your wife. And when you get back to your country, you may even start looking down on your wife because you have seen too many women that are more beautiful than your wife. It is a training for you to learn how to fear Allah when you are away from your wives. We used to say that to some women too. The Hajjah, when you go on Hajj, you won't see your husband. And lower your gaze too, because it's going to be a trial on your iman. So you see, that's why Allah put in these verses that I consider to be verses of anti-fragility. Allah says, those who guard their chastity, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, those who watch themselves, إِلَّا عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِهِمْ, except towards their wives, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ, or those that their right hand possess. فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ, these are the ones that are not going to be blamed. أَمَّا فَمَنِ ابْتَغَىٰ وَرَاءَ ذَٰلِكَ, anybody that should go beyond all of this, فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. If you can keep away from looking lustfully, you can keep away from going to pornography, you can keep away from masturbating, because you have now developed anti-fragility. This is what Allah wants you to do. Allah did not say He's going to remove temptations from your way, but Allah wants you to learn to be strong so that you don't succumb to these temptations. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. And Allah says, and those who watch their salats, because those are the ones that are going to be honored in paradise. Now, with this few explanations, you get to see the Quran talking about anti-fragility. Anti-fragility's key ideas are, number one, that exposure to stressors can enhance your strength. Anti-fragile things thrive under pressure or under uncertainty, and you are to use these experiences to adapt and to grow stronger. Take that and hold it in your hand. Number two, anti-fragility gives you some non-linear growth. Small destructions may have disproportionately positive effects on an anti-fragile system, meaning that you grow in unpredictable and significant ways. You don't have to be able to predict something. Some things will happen randomly. And when they randomly happen, you are supposed to be strong enough. In fact, you are supposed to be prepared to witness randomness in life. You cannot pre-plan everything in life. And you cannot celebrate everything in life. You cannot make sense of everything in life. There are some things that will happen and you never plan for it. Your ability to wait for the uncertainty to become certain. That is part of your anti-fragility in life. Let's look at some of the examples in real life for you to see, understand anti-fragility some more. Like physical exercise and muscle growth. When you start lifting weights, you subject your muscles to stress and some microscopic damage in your nerves, on your veins. In response, the body repairs these muscles so as to be stronger than before, and you are able to adapt to handling future stress. So regular exercise doesn't just maintain your strength, it improves your resilience and your health over time. The stress of physical exertion is essential for our growth. Take that as number one. Those who do exercise, after a while, they become stronger and they become more resilient. If you don't know about those kind of exercise, if you go to some parts of the country where their favorite food is pounded yam, you see their women have broader shoulders. Have you noticed? I don't want to mention any particular state. Yeah, you see that their women have broad shoulders and their arms are much stronger because they have spent many years making pounded yams. This local one, not the one you use machine to make. They have spent many years making pounded yam. Those people who are in the farming, if you go there and say you want to assist them and you are not a farmer, you just look at your palms at the end of it all. You see some funny things, you start developing blisters, bruise, all of those things. Your hand will just be like, then go have a handshake with those farmers. You know you are shaking real men. Not the kind of men that rub perfume on their hands so that it can be softer. Then you know hands that can only press phone. You see real men. It is it is because they have been farming for some time, they develop anti-fragility and their hands get stronger for it. Are you following it now? What anti-fragility does to us? Then let's look at the immune system. When you are exposed to germs and vaccines or mild infections, you see that your immunity will be affected at a point. After a while, you see, your body will be taught how to recognize and fight pathogens. Just like children who are exposed to diverse environments, they often develop stronger immune systems. They don't get sick so quickly. Case in point are those of us who were exposed to mosquito bites when we was born. You remember? Mosquito bites. Our bodies have developed natural antibodies such that it takes a significant extent of bites before we can break down with malaria fever. In fact, there is the mosquitoes that will make you have malaria, they have to be very strong and they have to be plenty before you can get malaria fever. You know why? Because over many years, your immune system have got used to managing itself whenever you have mosquito bite. You just mosquito, there were too many mosquitoes yesterday and you are still moving. Some people, just one bite like this, they'll be hospitalized for weeks. The anti-fragility there is that your immunity has got used to protecting itself. You have developed antibodies that are resistant to the viruses that the mosquitoes are pumping into your system. Are you following it now? What anti-fragility means now? In biological evolution, you see that there are some bacteria, when you have used chloroquine, capiquine, whatever thing you have used, after a while, even the malaria parasite will get immune against your chloroquine. Then, I don't know how Allah does it, but it's a kind of evolution that is inherently antifragile because they also have to adapt and survive. After a while, even some insecticide you use, those mosquitoes will not die. Over many years, they begin to mutate, they begin to change, they begin to get stronger by laying eggs that contain things, according to the scientists, things that will make those ones to be more resistant to the kind of insecticide you are trying to spray. After a while, and when you use insecticide, you know their name, Raid, Rambo, which other one? Mobile, all of those things. When you are spraying like this, those mosquitoes will just be laughing. The one that is funniest to them is mosquito coil. You just hear mosquitoes laughing. They'll just go and chill somewhere under your bed. When all of the things come down, they just come around. And you hear them laughing to your ears. What an insult. And some of them will be like, Shebi, you don't like music, let's sing. Allahu Akbar. Yes, salam. So in nature, some things develop antifragility. And rather than for you to destroy them easily, you are not able to, because they also adapt and change. Now, if you refuse to change, you are on your own. Every other thing that Allah has created, they go through these things and they change. Even the pesticide that farmers use, after a while they see that these pesticides don't kill this same pest again, or some other kind of pest will come around and they'll see eat your crop. This is how it happens in nature. And look at even professional skills and careers. People who experience career setbacks, sometimes they are being laid off, they lose their jobs, they often gain new skills, pivot to new industries, or they start new businesses, and ultimately they become more versatile and more successful. Those who have gone through all of these things, they develop professional growth and ingenuity. And sometimes it is because of some uncertainties of some of the mishaps that happen to them, they're able to seize opportunities that are hidden within the challenges that they have gone through. And so you hear somebody who say, I lost my job, then I started tailoring business, and now I'm a successful person. Some other person will say, I was laid off at a point in time, and then from then I began to farm, and look at where I am now. That is antifragility. Things change. And when you see somebody come out of their challenges and they get better, it means they have developed fragility. Look at the rituals in Islam, for example. Look at fasting, for instance. Ramadan fasting, for example, will build discipline in you. Imagine somebody who is not a Muslim. Look at this very well. Somebody who is not a Muslim will be wondering, how do you people survive? There was a time somebody was jesting, making jest and said, isn't the only lunch that you guys don't eat? Then he said, okay, try it now, fast like we do. This guy had his own sahur, 9 a.m. By 2 o'clock, his eyes are already red. They'll be like, you started 9 o'clock. We started since 4:30, 5. That's when we started our own. He couldn't do it. Why? Because fasting over the years has developed antifragility in us. Many of you fast Mondays and Thursdays, you don't even feel it. I know some people who on Monday or Thursday, he doesn't even eat sahur. You just wake up in the morning and today is Thursday, I'm fasting, and that's all. You will continue like that till by Maghrib. Then you will remember, I've been fasting today, let me go and break my fast. Do you know how long it takes for your body to have developed that antifragility? So much so that you fast and you don't even know that you are fasting. Now let me tell you the one that is most difficult, but we don't think it is difficult. Allah says, Kabura ala al-mushrikina ma tad'uhum ilay. What you are calling the idol worshippers to is very difficult for them, but it is easy for you. Should I tell you what it is? Salat. Brothers, sisters, do you know for how many years you have been praying 5 times every day? Every day of your life. Except, of course, you ladies who have excuses once in a while. Brothers, we don't have any excuse. 5 times every day. And you don't feel it. It's so natural for you. Some of you will even agree with me that you wonder, wait, if we are not doing Salat, what will we be doing? Sometimes I will remember when it's time for Maghrib, for instance. You know Maghrib, and you'll be rushing, Greek. Even before they call Salah, you already feel it that it's soon going to be Maghrib. You'll be rushing to go and pray Maghrib, right? What if you are not a Muslim? That means you will not think of making Maghrib. Or Isha. You will not be able to sleep if you have not made Isha. Something inside your head make you feel, no, something is missing. There's something I'm yet to do. You may pray Isha, but you have not done Shafa and Witri. There's a way it feels. And for those of you who push it into Tahajjud, it's a normal thing, my sisters, my brothers, to wake up for Tahajjud. It is not cheap. The way you are looking at it is so simple for you. Some people wish they could wake up for Subi like you. Why? Because we have developed antifragility over many years. Our bodies and our systems have got used to these activities towards our spiritual development. Spiritual practices sometimes they exemplify this antifragility, where temporary discomfort leads to a long-term growth and well-being spiritually. You have to be grateful to Allah. That's why we know Alhamdulillah hadana li hadha. We thank Allah who has guided us to this path. Wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. We never would have been guided if not that Allah has guided us. And that's why the Prophet said, Muru awladakum. Command your children to observe Salat from 7 years, so that they get used to it. When they get to 10 years and they don't pray, then you have to discipline them. The Prophet was trying to let us learn how to do anti-fragility when it comes to act of ibadah. May Allah accept it from us. Now, the mind, the heart, when it comes to anti-fragility, you know, we are looking at nature, we are looking at what we do, we look at ibadah, we look at spirituality. Now, what of our hearts, our minds? Our minds are wired to transform challenges into opportunities for growth. Consider the instinct to learn from failure that Allah has planted in us. When we are faced with setbacks, our brains rewire. It creates new neural pathways for us. And this is the process that is often referred to as neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. And that's the biological essence of antifragility. Meaning that adversity triggers problem-solving instincts in us. When we encounter difficulties in life, the mind shifts to innovative mode. It seeks creative solutions by itself automatically. And that is why we often get wiser when we have suffered. You understand it now? You know when they say somebody is streetwise. Street wisdom is mostly an advantage in life. If you have not really suffered, you cannot say you are smart. If you have not really gone through hardship, you cannot say you are wise. Just like they say necessity is the mother of invention. That humans often experience post-traumatic growth. That's the capacity to find profound meaning, the capacity to find wisdom and strength in the wake of life's greatest adversities. Those who endure and reflect on hardship, they often develop greater resilience, and they have deeper perspectives on life. They are usually wiser. They have keener observation of things. They don't react so quickly like other people. And when they have to take a decision, they take fearless decisions because they are streetwise. You understand what I mean? Streetwise. Many of us, when we were very small, we can run errands that is far away from our homes. But now, your children can't even go to the next street successfully. You'll be afraid what is going to happen to them. You can't send them on errands because you think somebody will cheat them. But in our own case, the way we grew up, we become very wise. Nobody can trick us and collect things from us. We know tricks, we know manipulations, we know deceptions, because we have also done it before. You know, that kind of thing. Allah Akbar Kabira. There's one brother that the wife reported him to me that he is very crafty, very crafty. You know what that means? You know, he has a way of escaping. So when me and him got discussing now, I now asked him a lot of questions. He didn't know where I was getting to. I said, he should tell me one event that he remembers very well when he was small. He said, Ustaz, that he grew up with his grandmother. And there are many of them, you know, grandchildren staying with the grandmother as teenagers. So what happened was that whenever it was time for Subi, the grandmother will wake the girls in the girls' room, wake the boys and say, you boys, you should go to the masjid. Girls, they will pray in the house. So he said, they will not want to go out to the masjid. And they will not want grandmother to know that they were still sleeping. They were having this double deck kind of beds in their room. So whenever grandma came to knock, wake up everybody, it's time for Subi. Boys, she will be calling their name one by one. Rafiu, Naam. Abubakar, Naam. All of them will be answering. They were still lying down. And then when they call another one of them, they will not answer. He will just clap. They are still lying down in bed. When grandma comes back again, won't you people come out? غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. All of them say, Amen. They are still lying down in bed. So grandma will think they were actually praying already. She will go away and leave them. They will sleep till 8 a.m. And say, yes, that's what they used to do to grandma. Until one day when she found out. Until one day when she found out, so she asked them to stop locking the door. So whenever grandma knocked like that, she would just open the door and found them, whether they were still sleeping or not. Now you see that kind of person now grew up to become crafty. You should not be surprised now how he will be deceiving his wife. So many text messages he will quickly delete. So many names of girlfriends, he will save it as something else. Allah Akbar. Some people use their antifragility in a wrong way. They become corny instead of wise. You know, when wisdom goes negative, it becomes con. But when wisdom is used appropriately, it becomes wisdom. Allah Akbar. Now you see, let me mention another one. The body. Now I was talking about the heart and the instinct now. How we develop that over the years. Sometimes people develop it to positive ends. Sometimes people develop to negative ends. But what of our body? Let me come back to that one now before I go back to the heart. Physiologically, the human body exemplifies antifragility in so many ways. So when we are subjected to stress, it does not merely resist, it adapts and becomes stronger. Take footballers, for instance. Footballers. Do you know that all of us here, I don't know, many of us are very sporty and we exercise a lot. Can we run around? For how many minutes do they play football? 90 minutes? 90 minutes, right? How many of us can be running around for 30 minutes? Not even 90, for 30 minutes. Sometimes they will run a little, sometimes they will run fast, sometimes they will run very fast. They will be running, they will be dribbling, they will be looking at the ball, they will be looking at the opponent, they will be looking at the goal post, they will be looking at their teammate that they will pass the ball to, calculating whether to pass to the one by the right or pass to the one to the left. All simultaneously as they are running. If they ask some of us to come and do it now, we'll just start vomiting. They say, oh, start, what happened? I'm not well. I'm sick. Because we can't do it. These people train and train and train before their heart can withstand that kind of running. Many of us, if we try it now, they will just call ambulance. Because you just collapse. The footballers have developed anti-fragility because of constant practice and training. You get what I mean now? Then take boxers also, for instance. Did you people watch Tyson and what's the name of that other one? You don't know why I'm laughing. Should I tell you why I'm laughing? I'm just laughing at some brothers who used to fight with their wives. You know, brother will be fighting with his wife. They say, it's okay now, like it's okay. You will remove his belt. People will be holding him. Go and box. Tell him to go to the boxing ring. When they give him one like this, he will just start crying. But please, have you ever seen a boxer crying inside the boxing ring? I watched one like that. I never like it. It's not a favorite sport to me. I don't like it because they look like sadists to me. There was one I was chanced to see part of the clips. They were in round 8. You know, they go to round 12, right? Yes. Round 8, come and see swollen face. Hey! And some part of bleeding like this. So when they go to the corner, after they ring the bell, they go to that. You see their caretakers, caregivers and coaches, they'll be cleaning for them, applying ice block here and there, rubbing some maybe ointment or some, what they rub. They'll be doing all of those things. They'll be saying, don't worry, just wash your flank. They'll be telling them, I say, hey, somebody has been receiving punches and he's not crying. Honestly, you will never see them cry. It's not that punches are not painful. It's because they have been receiving over and over. They have passed the level of crying. They cry inside. They don't cry out for people to see. That is the meaning of antifragility. When life has given you so much pain, after a while you stop crying. It is somebody who has not seen anything in life that something will happen and you see them, they Allah Akbar. Then look at martial artists too. How many people have watched Jackie Chan? You see how they do all of those things, though there are stunts and some people, but they actually hit each other sometimes. So, did you notice? You will never see any of them cry. Let me tell you the one that you will even understand very well. Look at medical doctors. Have you ever seen a medical doctor cry when they see a patient? They don't cry outside. If you take a patient to the hospital and doctor sees the patient, will you you just ask for discharge, eh? I mean, doctor crying. Doctor, what happened to you like this? Now you think doctors are not human beings. They are human beings too. They also feel it. But trainings over many years in medical schools and housemanship, all of those things they do has toughened them. No matter how serious what has brought you is, they'll be like, yes, don't worry. We'll run some tests. You'll be all right. Yes, you'll be all right. You see them swing their head like that. You'll be all right. Even if the person going to die in the next 5 minutes. And when the person eventually gives up, they'll just come to who is the relative of Susan and so. I'm the one. Well, we did our best. We are sorry. You just walk away as if you'll be like, this one wicked. How can you just come and tell me somebody died like this and you just with bold face? They also used to feel it, but it's their training that makes them to be tough like that. That is antifragility. Over many years of seeing all sorts of diseases. If you go to the doctor now, you are crying that you have also disease. All of the diseases memorized in medical school are there, not to talk of the ones he's witnessing every day. And you think doctor will not be agitated because you have disease. He'll just say, don't worry, you'll be all right. Let's run some tests. Even though he knows what is wrong with you, let's run some tests. By the time you finish running around doing tests and everything, then you begin to receive sense that this is very serious. They say you have osteoporosis. They mention some name for you. You can't Google it and find the answer. Yes, allowed. May Allah have mercy on us. So human beings are like that. You know, there's the principle of you have to use it or lose it in life. You use it or you lose it. If you don't use your legs, you will lose your legs. If you don't use your eyes, you start going blind. If you don't exercise your body, you start falling sick. If you don't use your ears to hear things, you start going deaf after a while. Nature has a way of withdrawing what it has given to you if you don't use it. Ladies who don't get married on time for one reason or the other, when their wombs are not being used, fibroid will occupy. You either use it or you lose it. The same thing with your head. If you don't use your head from time to time, you lose it. If you don't use your head to calculate or to, strategize or to plan, then you start getting stupid every day. If you don't put yourself in a situation where you have to use your intelligence, you start becoming a dunce. You either use it or you lose it. That is antifragility. Now let's go to the emotional one now. This is where we are going now. You see, emotionally, humans are capable of bouncing back from pain and even growing stronger through that pain. Just like the physical things that we use in order to become stronger. That's why you see the legs of the frog is stronger than the hands. Why? Because the frog leaps with the legs and Allah put extra muscle there. When you see a weightlifter, is bigger up here and has a very small waist. The weightlifter, you see, the development of his muscles and his chest and his arms are up here. And when you see a footballer, he develops more on the legs. These are the things for the physical bodies that we have. But what of our minds? What of our hearts? Have you ever lost a loved one before? Now, have you ever been divorced before? To have loved somebody in a marriage and the marriage crashed. If you have never been divorced before, you don't know what it means to have a broken heart. You'll just be hearing it from distance. You'll be reading about it. You don't know what it is. Have you ever been disappointed before? Have you ever lost a job before? You were receiving salary, then you were sacked. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, no salaries. And like we all know, salary earners are 3 months away from poverty. If they don't pay your salary for 3 months, you become so poor and so broke that before you can catch up, it's another 6 months of receiving salary. Have you ever lost your job before? If you have never lost your job before, you don't understand what the pain of the heart is all about. All these, incidentally, they are forces that are supposed to build us to be stronger. The instinct to seek meaning in suffering and to rebuild emotional stability fosters emotional intelligence and resilience. It is then you can say you are strong. Let me give you an example. If you are somebody who has been enduring rejection, this is going to strengthen your interpersonal skills and self-awareness. A lady that people refuse to even talk to, talk less of toasting them. They understand what it is to be rejected. Ladies who are of marriageable age, or who for one reason or the other, they had married before and they lost the marriage due to death or due to divorce, they are the only ones who understand what it is to be rejected by people around you. Allahu Akbar. And this instinct now, it is for growth through discomfort. We humans were naturally inclined towards self-improvement when we are placed outside our comfort zones. Discomfort is what triggers a survival mechanism in us. It sharpens our instinct, it heightens our focus, and it drives us towards innovation. A brother that's looking for a wife to marry, he understands what it is to look at himself in the mirror before he goes out of the house, because he doesn't want to have to face with another rejection. But a man that is married, he has his wife, he will just go out of the house anyhow. He doesn't care anymore. And the one that has suffered before getting married, he understands the worth of a woman better than the one that sharp like that. Even if he was not ready to marry, somebody will marry wife for him. Allahu Akbar. You probably, generally in life, you probably will not move unless you are pushed by adversity. You probably will not thrive unless you are forced by circumstances. You probably will not probe unless you are punched by uncertainties. Most ladies will never take care of themselves unless they have lost a husband and they need to marry again. The ones that are already in the house. What is wrong with my dressing? Is it not good like this? Then you see her go out of the house looking like mashed potato. Because she has a husband who accepts her whether she dresses nice or not, it doesn't matter anymore. The husband has developed antifragility to her smelling mouth. That's like happens the other way around too. Most women have developed antifragility to their husband who don't use perfume. He'll come out of the house smelling of onion because he just ate food from his wife, smelling of garlic. He didn't know he should clean his mouth before going out. The way some of those who follow sunnah, you even see them with toothbrush. What's it called? Miswak. Thank you, because they understand what it is. Many of us, we don't take this thing serious. But please, antifragility would make you to notice that plants that are growing where there's so much water, they don't usually have strong roots. Did you notice that? Plants that are growing where there's too much water, their roots are not so strong. Whereas trees that grow in arid grounds, they are usually stronger because their roots have to go deeper into the ground. What is vegetable? Vegetable is something that you grow within months, you already harvested them, so they don't go far into the ground. But for trees, they have to stand the test of time. They have to stand come rain, come shine, and their roots will keep going down and down and down in search of what to eat. That's actually what makes them to be strong. When humans have not gone through all of these things, they are never going to be strong enough. And that is why These instincts are the ones that propel humans to explore. Suffering makes us to question, who am I? Why am I even here? It makes us to discover who we are, and sometimes in response to uncertainty or danger, we become wiser and become stronger, and we become what we refer to as antifragile. And there's this deeper level of human spirit that makes us to strive in the face of trials to see whatever happens to us as fitna from Almighty Allah. Allah brings trials our ways in order for us to learn, in order for us to be stronger. But there are some trials you go through in life, you don't get any reward in it. You just suffer for nothing. You know why? Because you did not calculate your suffering. You don't get what I mean. You don't have any intention for going to that suffering. You are suffering because it's a consequence of your carelessness. You are suffering because these are consequences of your stupidity and naivety and lack of knowledge. You are suffering the consequences of your fragility rather than being anti-fragile. Somebody can easily dupe you. Somebody can easily fool you. Somebody can easily deceive you. And you're saying it's a trial from Allah. It's not trial. You are just stupid. So you got to learn. And don't put everything on fitna from Allah. Most of them is not fitna. You are very greedy. You now say it's a trial from Allah. It's not trial. You are just... Yeah, let me say it. You are just stupid. I said quickly. Look, we have to be smart, you know. You have to understand life. Don't be so naive, you know. Don't be so weak that people will just take advantage of you. You know, say, yeah, you now start crying. You don't know how to keep your mouth shut in your office. You don't know how to keep quiet. You don't know how to mind your business. You put your nose into something, it backfires, and you say, that's how Allah wants it. No, that's not how Allah wants it. The Prophet said, Min husni Islam will marry tarku ma la yani. Among what makes your Islam to be good is that you keep away from what's none of your business. So when you learn lesson like that, you put hand in fire, it burns you, then you don't try it again. So I'm not saying that many things are not trials from Allah. I'm just saying that sometimes it is just for us to be anti-fragile. There's that beauty of human anti-fragility. Human nature is not fragile per se. It is a living proof to resilience, to adaptability, and to change. From the individual facing personal trials to even countries and nations and civilizations rising from the ashes of calamity, our anti-fragility is a gift from Almighty Allah. It is a mechanism through which we transcend changes and challenges, and we evolve into stronger and wiser beings. By looking at anti-fragility this way, adversity is not an enemy, but a companion. A clay pot that goes into firing kiln will always come out strong. It will come out glazed, and it will come out more beautiful. It becomes a masterpiece to treasure when the clay pot has gone into the fire. The same thing with tea bag. When you put it inside hot water, it lets out the flavor that is inherent inside it. So to embrace this truth is to honor the extraordinary power of human nature. And naturally, as designed by Almighty Allah, we grow brighter and bolder in the face of every storm that we encounter in life. And so the question you ask yourself is, how fragile am I? How fragile am I? This is a question we must always ask ourselves in the quiet moments of our lives, away from the clamor and glamour of existence. Life comes with its own shifting tides. Life is lived in seasons. There are times when things are good and there are times when things are bad. Life is a ceaseless test of our strength and vulnerability. And some of us walk through life as if we are made of glass. We are delicate and we shatter at the smallest blow. Many of us are made of breakable materials. We are always looking delicate, always looking vulnerable, always looking weak. Our hearts are like eggshells. We are like watermelon at the feet of football players. Some of us are even highly inflammable. We ignite with every spark. Then we implode or explode as we bring destruction to ourselves and others around us in wanton conflagration. Some others amongst us, we stride with the firmness of a stone. We seem impervious, we are impenetrable, and we are unbreakable. Some amongst us are like rocks. It seems like while other human beings are made of blood and flesh, some of us are made of steel and concrete, for the way we are so strong and unbreakable. And amongst us are those people who are like broken bottle. They are always looking dangerous and mean and useless at the same time. Yeah, what would you use a broken bottle for? And some of us look like a rock from the distance, but we are actually made of ice. Any slight change in temperature, then we start melting. We start crying at the smallest rise in heat. However, fragility is not a question of physical strength alone. It's an inquiry into the soul. It asks, how do you respond when the ground beneath your feet begins to crack? Do you break apart under the weight of hardship? Or do you bend and adapt and rise from the ashes with new resolve and determination? Fragility reveals itself not in times of calm, but in moments of chaos, when the world crashes against you with its force. Do you shatter and scatter? Do you submerge or do you emerge? To be fragile is to cling to a fixed form. You want to remain the same for the rest of your life, to cling to a singular identity. You're not knowing that the person you were 10 years ago is not the person you are now. To be fragile is to be afraid of change, is to be afraid of loss. It is to fear that you might disintegrate if you're exposed to uncertainties and the unpredictability of life. Fragility doesn't lie in the breaking, but in the fear that you are going to break. In the terror that to be broken is to be finished, to be irreparably lost. But what if fragility is not the end, but a beginning? What if, like glass shattered into 1,000 pieces, we can be remade to something more intricate and more beautiful than before? Maybe fragility is not a weakness, but the potential for us to grow. Each crack in our armor will invite us to grow beyond the borders we have drawn for ourselves. We are able to move outside our comfort zone. And so you ask yourself, how fragile are you? Are you afraid of your own breaking? Or do you trust that from the fractures something new might be born? In fragility, we find our potential to change. It is this willingness now, the willingness to be undone, to fall apart, to break apart sometimes, that we discover what lies beyond. The strength in the ruins, the resilience in the cracks, and the beauty in the broken pieces. That is what actually makes us up in life. I want all of us to understand that fragility is part of life, but you have to be anti-fragile if you must survive in life. You must be ready to go through discomfort if you are going to be successful in life. In almost anything you do, there's hardly anything that doesn't have its own pain. A woman who is in labor will have to be anti-fragile. You have to endure the pain. If not, you will kill the baby in the process of giving birth to that baby. Anybody that will achieve greatness in life, anti-fragility is what we must develop. And I pray Allah is going to make it easy for all of us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Download the Abdul Fattah DME app now and start your journey to a more meaningful, purpose-driven life. Available for free on the App Store and Google Play. Join the community. Transform your life. Edit your universe.